Welcome everyone. We'll just wait a few minutes till everyone gets here. Good evening. Hope you're all well. Hello, hello, good evening. We'll wait just a few more moments. I know we have some more people who will be joining us. Good evening. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. Just a few more moments and we'll get started for the night. All right, welcome to the virtual college exploration for all students. This is sponsored by PACAC, the Pennsylvania Association for College Admission Counseling. We're a nonprofit organization. I'm actually the executive assistant, Andrea Castle-Bretz, for the association. We have 1,200 members from across the state and out of state. We have school counselors, college counselors, independent consultants, all on our membership, and they are responsible for guiding students through the important transition from high school to post-secondary options. Again, we want to thank you for joining us, especially on a Sunday evening. And we will get started in a few moments. I just wanted to make a few housekeeping announcements before we do so. You'll see some of the items here on the screen. You have the option of signing up for more sessions after tonight. We have sessions running all the way through November 6th, so feel free to sign up for any of those. They're at the same website, pacac.org/virtual, that you signed up for this session. And that's also where you're going to find all of the recordings. So if you need to skip out early this evening, or there's some sessions that you really want to listen to but don't get to listen to live, feel free to go to that pacac.org/virtual website in order to find those recordings. Now they might take a few days to be posted, but they will be there for your viewing pleasure. Your camera and your microphone are off. You will see me right now and you'll see our representative in a moment. But you can ask questions. So you want to use the question and answer button to type your questions. You can do this at any time during the presentation. The presenter will try to answer those questions while speaking. If there's some questions that she doesn't get to, don't worry. She will definitely either type the answer in the box, or she'll even have your information to send you an email later after the presentation. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And without further ado, let me turn it over to our presenter.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'll go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. All right. I'm excited to be with you all this evening. My name is Chelsea. I'm the Assistant Director in Admissions at UNC Charlotte in North Carolina, who works with all students applying from the state of Pennsylvania. I've had Pennsylvania for several years now. I think I'm going on my 4th year working with students coming from the state of Pennsylvania. So look forward to working with you all through this process. I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes or so It's kind of broken into two parts. I'm going to just do a general overview of UNC Charlotte, and then the second portion is it's a pretty deep dive into the application process. So if you're a senior in the room tonight, certainly relevant for you all. I welcome you to throw questions into the Q&A as we go, and then I'll do my best to answer them. I'll definitely save time at the end to answer them, but we'll do my best to get to any questions that you have over the next 45 minutes that we have together. So to get started, UNC Charlotte, we are one of the 16 public universities in the state of North Carolina. As a public university in our state, we have a distinction of who we represent in the university system. So we're proud to be recognized as North Carolina's urban research university. That has a lot to do with our location. Our close proximity to the city of Charlotte. Our campus is situated a little less than 9 miles north of the heart of Charlotte, in Center City, essentially. I will say a disclaimer to kind of throw out in terms of an understanding of the UNC system is that we are all independent of one another. So we're all part of the public university system, but we're all individual campuses. So we're not a satellite or a branch campus of the flagship. We are our own university with different requirements, different degree programs. So your degree that you earn at UNC Charlotte is essentially completely different and not like some university systems, state systems are, where you're attending a satellite. So just a disclaimer on that. It can definitely be confusing how every state kind of operates a bit differently. We're also currently recognized in the state of North Carolina as the fastest growing university. Our campus has experienced substantial growth in a very short amount of time in kind of a variety of areas. Construction is constantly taking place on our campus. Enrollment has been another area of growth. We hit record numbers this year, which was amidst all of the challenges that everyone's really facing in 2020. We were excited to welcome our largest freshman class that joined us for fall 20. And that essentially bumped us to the second largest public university in North Carolina in terms of total enrollment. So speaking of that, our total enrollment when looking at all of our students pursuing degrees with us sits just over 30,000. You'll see there that the breakup of our population leans heavily towards the undergrad. So the majority of our students are pursuing their bachelor's degree, which is a little over 24,000 in total. That translates each year into a first-time entering freshman class each fall, typically from 3,700 to 3,800 students. With this year, as I mentioned, being a record-breaking year, we welcomed right on the number pretty much, 4,000 new freshmen that started with us at UNC Charlotte for fall 20. That will break down, I don't think I have a slide, I just realized on the average class size and student to faculty ratio, but the average class size for us is about 35 students and the student to faculty ratio is 19:1. Getting a sense of the community though, which I do think is incredibly important as you're exploring and getting to know schools, we're proud to be recognized as a global campus. Very reflective of our location and being in such close proximity to a major metropolitan location. Charlotte is the largest city in the Carolinas, and so it's certainly attractive to people from all walks of life, coming from diverse backgrounds, and our campus community is reflective of that and certainly no different. So at UNC Charlotte, we represent collectively over 100 countries, 47 states, and then about 40% of us have self-identified with an underrepresented minority population. Connectivity is a big part of the student experience at UNC Charlotte and something that I think is unique about the overall experience. So while our campus is not situated in Center City, kind of like University of Pittsburgh's in Pittsburgh, there is separation essentially between our campus and the city of Charlotte. But our students have direct access to Center City through light rail, which is what you're looking at here. So light rail is an above ground metro system. It's a single line. It's been in the city since 2007, but formally stretched up to our campus about 2 years ago. So our students are able to hop right onto light rail with direct access to Center City just with the use of their student ID card. So it doesn't require purchasing a supplemental pass or anything like that. But it gives them access to Center City as well as the neighborhood. So really what I think is kind of unique about Charlotte in terms of a city in the Carolinas is the neighborhoods that kind of surround Center City. We have South End and Plaza Midwood and Noda. Some of those neighborhoods that all kind of have a different vibe or energy. They have different types of restaurants, different things to do. And light rail gives our students access to all of those as well, which is really just providing an extension of our campus. I know our students love the ability to get into Uptown or some of those neighborhoods with a direct line back and forth from campus to those areas of the city. It's also helpful in terms of the ability to take advantage of experiential learning opportunities. So I feel like experiential learning has become a buzzword in higher ed and on college campuses, but essentially what experiential learning, some examples of that is an internship, a co-op experience. It could be research, it could be study abroad, and could certainly be an internship abroad with potentially one of these companies and organizations. So what you're looking at here is just a short list, illustrative of companies and organizations that are hopefully familiar to you, that have a strong presence in the greater Charlotte area and in which we have a strong partnership with. So by no means is this comprehensive of all the companies that we work with, but it's really intended, one, to show some of the companies you should recognize that have strong reputations, but also the variety of industry. So regardless of what academic program you're in, as a student at UNC Charlotte, you have plenty of opportunities to gain professional experiences beyond the classroom, which has certainly become more and more critical in the undergraduate experience as students explore where their degree essentially leads in terms of a variety of companies and organizations to work with in the field, if they want to go into grad school, things like that. And so this is really to illustrate that as well. So you'll see 90% of our students are engaging in some type of experiential learning. It's become part of the conversation really and just cultivated within our culture. It's not uncommon to see UNC Charlotte students taking full advantage of more than one opportunity. We oftentimes see students completing an internship pretty early as the summer between freshman and sophomore year, and then turning around and doing another internship or a co-op experience or research. And I think what's really cool about the research experience as an undergrad is that you're able to, one, learn what research is like. So you're essentially joining a small group of peers with a faculty member as the lead on the research. And then you oftentimes have the opportunity to actually attend local, regional, or even national conferences and present research findings and things like that, which is great experience, certainly developing transferable skill sets really into any industry. So a lot comes along with the experience of research, well beyond just what it's like to do research. But we do see a lot of students tapping into that particular realm and getting experience through those types of opportunities. So it is important, kind of along those lines, to really understand the academic structure and what all we offer. So we have 171 majors to choose from at UNC Charlotte, and they essentially fall within one of our 7 academic colleges. So I'm not going to go over each major, but I do want to highlight each individual college individually. And so looking first at our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So this is our largest academic college, essentially with the widest variety of offerings. So this is where you're going to find communication, psychology, philosophy, political science, criminal justice. Meteorology is a pretty unique program in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Biology, mathematics, things like that. So a wide variety. Lots of students will do research in the liberal arts and sciences. But a really, really strong choice in terms of the 21 different departments that fall within the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. College of Arts and Architecture is home to our School of Architecture, as well as our Visual and Performing Arts. So School of Architecture certainly being a unique offering. There are only a select group of schools in the Carolinas that offer architecture, and we are one of them. And so essentially our students really have the ability to leverage our location in terms of being a larger metropolitan area, kind of across the board in all of these programs. So not just architecture, but certainly students pursuing the programs of art and art history, dance, theater, music, All of these programs do have a secondary process for consideration of admission into those programs, but they're all strong. I think looking at programs like the arts, like the performing arts, as well as architecture, having a location where you can really understand where these degrees are leading in terms of a profession is really advantageous, and definitely something our students walk away with in these programs. Belk College of Business brings a lot of students to UNC Charlotte. So you all may be familiar with Charlotte certainly being recognized as a major financial center, second largest financial hub in the country. So finance is certainly a strong program and will bring a lot of students to UNC Charlotte. But we have 9 different programs in the Belk College of Business, which is AACSB accredited, the top accreditation for business schools worldwide. But a lot of emphasis placed on internships, professional development, career coaching, things like that. There is a wealth of opportunities in terms of networking and professional development through the Belk College. Programs like accounting, econ, marketing, management, business analytics, there's a lot to choose from for future business leaders, and it's hard to beat a location like Charlotte for students who do aspire to be in the business world. Cato College of Education is a great choice too for students who feel a calling to be a teacher. We're surrounded by some of the largest school districts in North Carolina and South Carolina. And so our students have the ability to gain experience across different school settings, different subject areas, different grade levels, really seeing what other school settings look like beyond what they know through their personal experience. And the Cato College really prepares students to be strong teachers within the classroom, and we're in the top 3 colleges in the state for producing teachers in North Carolina. College of Computing and Informatics, this is very unique. We're one of 6 colleges across the country that has an academic college devoted solely to computing and informatics. So this is home to computer science. So instead of kind of lumping computer science into our College of Engineering, our computer science students are within CCI, or the College of Computing and Informatics. There are multiple concentrations that students can choose from in computer science, such as data analytics, AI robotics, cybersecurity. There's a lot to choose from in terms of concentrations within computer science. College of Health and Human Services, home to our School of Nursing, as well as our exercise science, social work, public health programs like that. While finance is a major, is an industry certainly recognized in the city, healthcare is also a major industry in Charlotte, with having 2 major healthcare and hospital systems in the greater Charlotte area, both Atrium and Novant. Our students pursuing health science programs get firsthand experience in some really strong facilities and healthcare hospital systems. And last up, we have our Lee College of Engineering. This is home to all of our engineering disciplines. We'll definitely bring a lot of students to UNC Charlotte. I think a differentiating quality about the Lee College is that our undergraduate students have the ability for a lot of hands-on opportunities. So while it's a rigorous program academically in the classroom, students are in the labs as a first and second year student, which is very unique for an engineering student to really have that experience across the 4 years pursuing the bachelor's degree. As a student that's either in mechanical, electrical and computer systems, fire protection, or fire safety and construction management. Also, those are just some of our most popular areas within engineering, but all great choices in terms of those pursuing the field of engineering. And then we also have our University College. So University College is essentially home to students who may be undecided in a major, or maybe switching between one major into another. But it is a way, if you're hearing me kind of list off and rattle off all these academic colleges and programs and it feels overwhelming, know that that's okay. About a third of our incoming class each year will be undeclared initially. And so those students find their home as a first year student in University College. You can indicate on your application to UNC Charlotte that you're undeclared, and we'll review your application for a spot in University College, where those advisors help you in that first year matriculate over into one of the programs within our academic college. Regardless of what major you're in or being undecided, you're pursuing your general education requirements. There are very, very few programs that can be impacted by not starting in them right away. So know that it's completely, it's never a bad idea to go undecided if you truly are undecided, or even if you're a student kind of wavering or juggling multiple interests and you're not really sure which direction to take. And then the Honors College, an opportunity for students to really push their academic experience to the next level. This is a way to also create a community within your larger class of 3,800 students. This is a way to kind of have that smaller community fostered or facilitated around academics, as well as service, leadership, team building, things like that. As a first-year student, you're eligible for 3 of our 24 honors programs, and that's our University Honors Program, our Business Honors Program, and our Art and Architecture Honors Program. Business and Art and Architecture are major specific, but the University College is not major specific, so you could be in any major and apply for a spot in the University Honors Program. There is a separate application for honors, so know that if you're interested in pursuing honors at UNC Charlotte, you're not automatically being considered just by applying to UNC Charlotte. I did see a question from Kelly I wanted to address really quick. Do you have a zoology major? Great question. We do not have a zoology major specifically. We do offer a really strong program in the biological sciences, and then we offer in our list of pre-health advising tracks, we do offer a pre-vet advising track. So that would be the closest in terms of programs that we offer along those lines, but not zoology specifically. Great question, keep them coming. All right, and then continuing on, this is a great time to kind of shift the gears a bit and talk a little bit about the application process. So there are some changes for this upcoming cycle, but for fall 20 or fall 21, the application is open, and there are 2 ways you can apply to UNC Charlotte: 1 through the Common Application, and 2 through our Future 49er portal, which is essentially our institutional version of the application. Both applications ask the same questions. We don't have a preference to the way that you apply. The application fee is $75 or an approved fee waiver, and examples of an approved fee waiver are ACT, College Board, NACAC, or Common App for the fee waiver. Your official transcript, and then your essay. So we are using one of the 9 prompts that you'll see on the Common Application as the required essay to complete your application. If you are not applying through Common App and you're using the Future 49er portal, there's a list of those essay prompts on our website. In that scenario, you could email your essay directly to me, or you could email it to the admissions office in general, admissions@uncc.edu. So those are the 4 required items. Then the optional items, test scores being one of them. So lots of questions around the test score and how optional is optional. And I will say it is 100% optional. You are not required to submit test scores, and test scores would only supplement your application. So they're in no way a factor that we're using in the admission decision unless a student submits them and indicates they have an interest in the test scores being used in evaluation. So test scores, our message essentially for students is that if you are not pleased with your scores, or 2, don't have scores, we are not encouraging students to go test. Recommendation letters and personal statements are also great optional items if you feel that there is something about your story or your journey throughout high school that you feel hasn't adequately been captured or discussed within the required materials of your application. You're certainly welcome to submit those items as well. You can submit them directly to me. You can submit them, again, generally to our admissions email address, or you can mail them in as well. A lot of times those items also come with your Common Application packet, so those things can come through there as well. I will say we do get questions a lot about what's the best number of recommendation letters. And I would say here to really think about a quality 1 letter, that letter that the recommender really knows you well and can speak very specifically to you as an individual and as a student, or it doesn't even have to be academic. It certainly could be someone in your community, an employer, or you're involved outside of high school and there's a leader within an organization you're involved in. It does not have to be academic. But having a recommender who knows you well is much more impactful than having 3 or 4 letters on file that kind of just are more generic in nature and don't really dive in and tell us much more than what we've learned from the application within the required materials. Then the snapshot of deadlines, this is important. I mentioned our applications open. We're approaching, now that we're in the month of October, early action deadline will be here before we know it, but early action is not binding. So you're not required to enroll at UNC Charlotte by applying within the early action applicant pool. However, it does position your application to be its most competitive in our process, so we encourage it. Students are guaranteed to have their decision by January 30th if they're in the early action pool. We typically start release decisions mid to late November, so you really could start hearing from us anytime between the end of November all the way through the end of January. November 1 is the deadline for the application, and then you have about a 2-week window beyond November 1 to submit the rest of the required materials. Although having a completed application on file well before November 1st is certainly a benefit. In terms of pursuit of scholarships, honors programs, things like that, financial aid as well. All right, and this is just a snapshot of our middle 50% ranges based on who was offered admission last year. So this is looking at the weighted and the unweighted grade point average calculation. Weighted is a GPA coming from coursework that is advanced in nature, so honors, AP, IB level, and then that unweighted scale that you're looking at is a flat 4.0. So know that these are the middle of the class. So we offered admission to students falling on either ends of these ranges, so both a little lower than these ranges as well as a little higher. We also are still sharing SAT and ACT score, even though, again, just to emphasize, they are optional for this year. But it's kind of nice to still understand or have a frame of reference of what the standardized test scores were for the current class. This is based on a super score, so highest individual subscore from the SAT and highest individual subscore from the ACT, all compiled and recalculated in terms of an overall composite that way. And then this is a breakdown of cost of attendance, certainly important to know. It tends to be a big part of the conversation, and particularly in the spring. So you'll see there the cost for tuition and fees is a little over $20,000. Living on campus is a variable amount, essentially depending on which residence hall that you live in, how many roommates you have, things like that. It's not, we don't have a residential requirement, but coming from out of state, majority of out-of-state students will end up living on campus as a first-year student. Meal plan, all first-year students living on campus are required to have a meal plan, and that essentially gives you access to multiple dining halls on campus, all of our food courts and eateries on campus, and there's a wide variety to choose from Wendy's, Bojangles, Chick-fil-A, Salsaritas, tons of restaurant options on campus, and the meal plan gives you access to all of that. It's also critical to know your ways to offset cost of attendance. So first and foremost being through that FAFSA that just opened October 1st at the end of last week. The priority deadline for that is January 1st. So on that FAFSA, it's one application you complete and you include UNC Charlotte's financial aid code, and that will send your information to our Office of Financial Aid. As long as they have it by January 1st, you're guaranteed to have your offer letter by March 1st. Which is an ideal time as a senior to know the breakdown of cost of attendance for you specifically as a student looking at UNC Charlotte. So this would include any aid that you've qualified for, scholarships, things like that. So having that by March 1st gives you the entire month of March and the entire month of April to really help you with your final conversations and exploration to ultimately make that decision for where you will enroll by May 1st. And then, of course, another way to offset costs is through scholarships. And so knowing your opportunities for scholarships, especially because they tend to vary at every school, it can be really helpful to know exactly how it works. So at UNC Charlotte specifically, students identify what they qualify for in terms of scholarships through the Niner Scholars portal. So this is a separate portal that opens up typically in the middle of October. So we're anticipating that to open within the next week or two. Students go in and build their profile, and it matches them to internal scholarship opportunities at UNC Charlotte that they potentially qualify for. Then it lists out any supplemental items that you have to submit to complete that process, and then what the deadlines are. Scholarships tend to have varying deadlines, and scholarships that have a higher dollar amount tend to have earlier deadlines. So this is essentially a one-stop shop for all scholarship opportunities at UNC Charlotte. So we encourage students to build it as soon as possible to ensure you don't miss any opportunities. And you will not have your admission decision typically as when the portal opens. All you have to actually be able to build your profile is an application on file. So you just have to have your admission or your application to the university in admissions, and then you're able to build that profile for scholarships in October. The only scholarship opportunity you will not find in the Niner Scholars portal that exists at UNC Charlotte is our Levine Scholars Program. So that program is our premier merit-based scholarship program. It's obviously heavily focused on merit and your academic profile, but that's definitely not the only criteria. They're also looking for leadership, service is very big, intellectual curiosity, things like that. It is a competitive scholarship program, but it is open to out-of-state students. It covers full cost of attendance, even for an out-of-state student. It covers full cost of attendance for 4 years, as well as plenty of other experiences that you'll have in the cohort as a Levine Scholar. So highly competitive. The cohort each year is about 20 students, but they're always within the cohort a decent representation of students residing or coming from outside of North Carolina. And then this is my contact information specifically as the assistant director in the office assigned to Pennsylvania. Feel free to send me an email, take a picture, write my email address down. I would love to hear from you. I just heard from a student from Pennsylvania over the weekend who I thought was emailing me to tell me they were attending the session, but they weren't. Anyway, there's my email and my phone number, and then ways to connect with us and to certainly continue learning more about UNC Charlotte and kind of the visit opportunities that we have going on currently. So we have a virtual campus visit offered every day, Monday through Friday, and on select Saturdays. We also just started in-person visits. So if you are planning to come to the Carolinas, you're doing a swing maybe through North and South Carolina, flying into Charlotte, or you're coming to the Carolinas by car, know that we are offering in-person visits starting this week. We also have one-on-one meetings you can drop into a virtual lobby that we have open Monday through Friday. You can always schedule an individual meeting with me. I'm happy to connect virtually over the phone or through a virtual meeting. And then we have our fall virtual open house, which is a great way to actually have conversations with people outside of admissions. While we love to have conversations and certainly pride ourselves on finding any and every way we can connect with you all as students considering UNC Charlotte, we also want you to have the opportunity to connect with faculty members or professors in your academic areas of interest, as well as with staff and representatives in some of the campus life offices that are important to you getting a better understanding of UNC Charlotte and determining fit. So that could be someone in athletics, someone in housing, financial aid, scholarships, meal plans, learning communities. So attending the fall virtual open house is a great way to have those conversations. The majority of the program on Saturday, October 24th will be live sessions. So it's designed for you to be able to pop into sessions and actually have conversations in real time with people who are live on the other end of the camera to ask questions and just to learn more. And so this event will take place, like I said, Saturday, October 24th from 9 to 1, and you will register through the Future 49er portal. So if you don't already have your portal, we would certainly encourage you to create one today. You don't have to be a senior to create the portal, but the portal is how you stay up to date on anything new that's happening at UNC Charlotte, and it's also how you would register for any of our visit opportunities. So we definitely encourage you to create that portal. And then I think that's it. So would love to take, I know we've got a few minutes or so left in today's session. So if you have thought of questions really related to anything that I've talked about thus far, or if you were hoping I would highlight or talk about something tonight that I haven't, would love to take any questions that you have. And I will just go back to my, if I can, contact, in case you need to grab that again. It was a pleasure having the opportunity to connect with you all in Pennsylvania. I usually do a lot of recruitment around the Pittsburgh area and was really sad to not have the opportunity to do that this year, but hopefully we'll be able to get back within next fall, hopefully, to visit some of the high schools in that surrounding area of the state. All right, well, I will invite Adrian to come back on and close us out. Thank you all so much for joining us. Like I said, please follow up with me if you have specific questions or questions that pop up after we close out this evening. Would love to hear from you with anything I can assist with.
Hello, thank you, Chelsea, for your presentation. Thank you to all the students and families who are still with us. Hopefully you enjoyed your session today, learning about the University of North Carolina and Charlotte. I just have two quick things to go over before we end this evening. So again, thank you. When this window closes, there will be, I'll let it go to the full screen. There we go. There will be a quick 4-question survey. So if you wouldn't mind answering that, we'd really appreciate that. We welcome any feedback that you may have. Also, remember, this is just one of many sessions that we're hosting this fall. So please, if there's any others that you're interested in, please go to pacac.org/virtual and sign up. And again, the recordings will be available, the recording from this evening, as well as all the others that we are having between, actually we started on Thursday the 1st and it goes through November 6th. So all of the recordings will be posted there. And again, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and we'll talk later. Bye.